All right. Hello. Is it on? Thank you. Thanks, Laura. That's the Finnish way of doing it, the quiet Finnish way. Welcome back, everyone, from the Swedish fika. I hope that you're all really fresh and perky and excited now for the next section of today. We had a really nice start, I think, with our three initial speakers and our colleagues, of course, from Ecofon. My name is Maria Quinn, you know, like Dr. Quinn, the medicine woman, like that's me. So I'm a concept developer for healthcare, and I'll be hosting now the next 6 speakers that are all addressing healthcare topics. And the first runner-up is Professor in Health and Wellbeing, Laura Arpiainen, from the Aalto University in Finland, and she will be talking to us about sensory design for memory disorder and the fantastic work that you have done in this field. Please come to the stage. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much for the invitation to this beautiful location. So yeah, my name is Laura Arpiainen, and I am a professor of health and well-being architecture, so I'm an architect. So when I speak, it's nice to know who I'm speaking to. So can I see a quick show of hands for architects, please? Okay, quick show of hands for engineers, please. Okay. Quick show of hands for people who work only with acoustics. Okay, yeah. And quick show of hands for people who are in product development. Okay, all right, thanks. So we'll take all the questions afterwards, but basically, let's do one more show of hands. Who believes that buildings can make you sick? Okay, thank you. And who believes that buildings can also make you better? Okay, yeah. So I think we're on the same page here. So I think as an architect, we come from a place where buildings traditionally were built for a function. Especially in healthcare, buildings have been very process-oriented. There's a function. You go to a hospital, you have something done, and then you come out. And if you're lucky, you come out better than you were when you went in. But also, healthcare buildings are very notorious for making people feel horrible. So it's sort of interesting that I do health and well-being, and the buildings that we make for health are normally really negative for your well-being. So we all have a lot of work to do. So in Aalto University in Finland, we had a 1.5-year project where we had a research project about making living environments for people with memory decline. And this is a growing demographic in all Western countries, basically, and we did 8 master's theses on this topic. And the master's thesis ranged from new building to interior design, to landscape architecture, to renovations, service design, and acoustics. So we had a very comprehensive take on it, and I also brought some brochures that we came up with. These are very geared towards the general public, but they have some basics on how we can make environments memory friendly. And trust me, it is a specialty field. There's a lot of people who say that, oh yeah, I've designed for seniors and I've done this and that. But as you know, the devil is in the details. The God is also in the details. So it's good to know how we should do these things. Oh, sorry, let's talk, I'm going back. So what is sensory design? Sensory design is the understanding, the practice of designing for all the senses. So all the senses, so that we can get the best possible user experience in the built environment. Now, traditionally, architects tend to design overwhelmingly for the aesthetic, okay? And we're just guilty of that because we brought up that way. And also the profession rewards buildings that look great. And we've already seen in a couple of presentations this morning that something that gets an architectural award is not necessarily the best type of building. So I believe there's more than 5 senses, but we're looking at the 5 that we normally talk about. So vision helps us understand what's around us, help us navigate, helps us take in the proportion, etc. Hearing helps with communication and wayfinding. Touch tells us what's touching and how it's touching us. We actually touch a lot in the built environment. We touch the floor, doors, walls, furniture, a lot of touching. Smell helps with nuances and is a compass. And interestingly, out of the senses, smell is the one that is most closely related to memories. And tragically, it is also the first one that goes if people have memory decline. It's normally even a symptom of memory decline is that your sense of smell has declined. And taste, which is actually sort of a sanitary health thing that we don't eat or consume anything that's gone bad. But we also have sense of smell stimulated, for example, in spas. They can put, essential oils in the showers and stuff. Anyways, what happens if the senses don't work, okay? And this is how we get into the age-friendly design. If we can't see, we start to fall like here. It's not very age-friendly. There's no orange tape here because I could just step down and fall, and that would be a really bad thing. And falls are actually the #1 health issue in geriatrics. There's an entire study called falls prevention. So hearing, communication suffers. It's dangerous. We could miss alarms. Touching, cuts and sores can go unnoticed. We might not understand the difference between hot and cold. We all know somebody who put their hand on the stove. And the safety issues come with smell and taste as well. So the spatial experience is informed by our senses, all of them. Now, how do we design for all the senses? And sensory design, I've just put some examples here. This is sort of the sensory design 101 for the architecture student who never thought about before. The site is pretty obvious. There's a whole bunch of architectural tools we can use to increase our understanding of the environment. But taste, for example, we need to have clean air for both taste and smell. If the air is not clean, those senses will be compromised. Touching, material surfaces, any haptical, tactile qualities, temperature, interior design is very important for touching. And then the hearing, materials, proportion, exposure, controllability, soundscape, acoustical design, blah, blah, blah. And I want to add to what has been said this morning is that this architectural design that supports excellent acoustical experiences is not something that you just tack on once the building has been done, okay? So the building design team should be informed by how proportion, room shape, height, volume, surfaces, all these things affect the sound in the room. And I wish, as acousticians and engineers, that you would actually demand this from your designers, because they should know. And if they don't know, they should come to these meetings. Okay, so senses and age. All senses decline with age, all of them. So we can't, it's just a factor of physical aging. And I already said that loss of smell is one of the early indicators of memory decline. Hearing, interestingly, is often the last sense to go. And we had a studio assignment at my university where we designed a hospice. It was called Design for End-of-Life Care. And we are a multidisciplinary university, so I brought in from our Department of New Media a sound designer, a sound and new media designer. And we had a sound mentor who actually helped all the architecture students design a soundscape to their hospices. So here is my student, Assi, presenting her hospice, and she has the iPhone in her hand, not because she's surfing Instagram, but because she has the sound world in there as a sound file, and she played the sound file at the same time as she presented this design, and her theme was water. So she had all nature sounds that had to do with water in this design. And we know that nature sounds are sounds that are actually hardwired in us to bring us to a parasympathetic or sort of calmer state. And hospices sometimes are calm places, but sometimes filled with anxiety. So we had this question: what is the last sound you would like to hear? And then the students made sound designs in response to that question, and these sounds were integrated in the architectural design. Okay, now into the memory-friendly acoustical design, and we had Vivi Salminen, who did a master's thesis on this topic. Her research questions were: how can the effects of memory decline and age-related hearing loss be taken into account in design? So when we design complex residential care, or when we design facilities that are totally intended for people with dementia, you need to know the answer to this question. Otherwise, you've missed an opportunity to create this kind of built environment that actually supports your health, or it might actually increase your health. Second question is, what's the ideal acoustical environment for living with memory decline? And the third question was that how can acoustical design support well-being and activities of daily living? Because those are the things that start to be taken away from us when memory decline advances. And she came up with 6 parameters: coziness, individuality, safety, communality, orientation, and recovery support. Here they are. And here's how they can be further open. Now, like Alice's presentation this morning, these are qualitative acoustical objectives. I don't have a norm for this, and I hope nobody makes a norm for this, because I think we have too many norms when we design. But we do need to understand that we can do a lot of good by getting this stuff. So promoting self-image, confidence, and sense of control are basic for people with memory decline, because things are starting to fall apart, and your self-identity is degraded by you having to have help with a lot of fairly basic daily activities. Communality. So many of the people who have memory decline may be people living alone. And in the aging society, loneliness is one of the biggest plagues. So we like to create situations where these people can have social interaction and create communal situations for them. Recovery support, I like to use the word restorative environments as well, which is creating tranquility, calm, and therapeutic moments, normally after having been somehow overstimulated or burdened by a lot of noise. You know, the more the noise, at some point it becomes too much, and the older person will just recoil. They will withdraw because they can't make sense of it, and it's actually a lonely-fying element. Orientation, you all know this. You need to know which way to go, and if you can hear things that sort of set you on the map, it helps with knowing where you are and helps with your happiness, because you don't feel helpless. Safety, nurturing a sense of safety and familiarity, and the coziness, which makes individuals feel at home, and it enhances their mood. Now, these things cannot be sort of specified, because it depends on whether we do this in Tylösand or if we do it in Rovaniemi in Upper Finland. So there is a big cultural element that goes into this. So this brochure that we've made, it actually talks a lot about how this all has to come from the individual and their own context. So there is no sort of response that works for everyone. These principles are good guides, but the actual solutions have to be worked out in each circumstance. Okay, and this information is further elaborated in a brochure, which I brought as well, that Ecophone has made. This one is in Finnish, but you can get the one that's in English, download it from the Ecophone website, and this is a brochure to make sound environments that are memory and dementia friendly. Yep. And there's the brochure, And before I finish completely, I also wanted to take this time and shamelessly promote an upcoming conference next year on the effects of design on health and well-being, which is in Aalto University in Finland. So I have a couple of those flyers, and you can come and talk to me about that afterwards. Thanks very much.